I have to say I'm extremely impressed with Scholastic Book Fairs. I think they're pretty close to a household name anyway. I think anyone who's ever had school-age children knows who Scholastic Book Fairs is. And they're an extremely reputable company. I'm delighted that they're considering relocating to Clinton. As you know, they're considering taking 60,000 square feet at 100 Adams Street and performing approximately $800,000 installing approximately $800,000 of equipment to the place and about $300,000 worth of infrastructure renovations. And he'll talk about that in his presentation. But I would like to say on the board's behalf that the board has taken measures in the past year that have certainly made my job easier in presenting the town. I was in a meeting earlier this week, but again, when I met with Andy and Lynn, I was very happy to be able to tell the story of how the Board of Selectmen voted to narrow the gap in our split tax rate. It does send a message that Clinton is very pro-business, very business-friendly. I think the companies that have dealt with Clinton know that, but companies that don't know Clinton and don't know some of its history may not be aware of that, and that's a very positive signal to be able to send. So I do want to thank the board for taking that position and just reiterate that it does send a very positive message. Having said that, I don't want to take up any of Andy and Lynn's time, and I will turn the presentation over to Andy Spencer and their consultant, Lynn Tokratchik.
Thank you, Donnie. Good evening, folks. Good evening. Good evening.
John, thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks for welcoming us thus far with open arms. We very much appreciate it. And for the Board of Selectmen, we appreciate your time this evening. We know you have a lot on the agenda. So quickly, we do have a presentation just to familiarize folks who may not be all aware of what Scholastic Book Fairs is all about. But we are actually the largest publisher and distributor of children's books, not only here in the United States, but across the world. Scholastic Book Fairs is a subsidiary of Scholastic Inc. And our parent company is headquartered down in New York. And Scholastic Book Fairs headquarters is actually in Lake Mary, Florida. I come to you today representing the New England region, and our regional office is the building that we are under discussion here today in terms of the space that we're considering here in Clinton. It's a business that, for us at Scholastic, has been in existence for roughly 25 years. And we are, as I mentioned, the largest distributor of books, not only to schools, but also to direct to home as well. What we do as an organization is to bring book fairs to our elementary and middle schools. And we do that through the partnership that we've developed with many of the schools, many of the librarians, media specialists, but we also deal tremendously with the parent, PTO, PTA volunteers that also run our fairs for us. And just so you know some statistics, on a yearly basis, we actually sell in excess of 120 million books to roughly 43 million children and over 160,000 fairs in a given year across not only the United States but in the world. So we are a very large company, but we are also very local because as myself, as a general manager, I've lived in this area now for over 20 years. And I've made this my home with my family, and all of our employees are also from this area as well. So while we're very large, we're also very local in terms of the makeup of our employee base. Our plans of expansion, Don touched on them a little bit, is that we currently are located down in Marlborough, which is about 12 miles south of here. And we were in a situation where we were becoming very much tight in terms of space requirements and needs to be able to run our business optimally. We did, in fact, look for space in the Marlborough vicinity because it would provide the least disruption, because we do have customers that come to visit us, and I'll speak about that a little bit later. But we were not able to find the appropriate space to be able to suit our needs. We then partnered with an outside company, C.B. Richard Ellis, to go and help us find a site that would be suitable, because our needs were 60,000 square feet. Today we sit in a building that's roughly 30,000 square feet. So it's a very large expansion for us based on our needs. Because we were not able to find a suitable place for us in Marlboro, we cast a wider net, both north, south, east, and west of our current site, understanding our current customer base. And within that, Clinton was one of the areas that we started to look at. And there is a facility here at 100 Adams Street that is very suitable for our needs, both today and in the future. From an investment standpoint, here in the facility, we are looking at this point to spend roughly $1.2 million in this investment, and that number continues to go up as the days go on because I keep asking for more. So of that right now, roughly $250,000 is for tenant improvements, and roughly just under $1 million is actually for new machinery and equipment. I'm pleased because we will, at the end of the day, open up what we consider to be a state-of-the-art facility here where we can optimize and send out the best quality fares possible to our schools. So that's a very exciting part for us as an organization to be able to have this type of an opportunity. As we consider this move, one of the things that's also very important for us is job creation. Because we are a company that is very much in a growth state. When you consider 25 years by today's standard, that's very much a young business. And we are continuing to grow and prosper as an organization. We will be retaining all 35 positions that we hold in our current facility today. And we are expecting, as we move forward, that we will absolutely have job creation. And we're seeing today that that number is at around 10, and we would expect that number to probably go north of that as time goes on. One of the interesting parts of this is that as we do move this facility, as it certainly occurs with most businesses, you may not retain all of your employees as you tend to move from your existing site. While we certainly hope not to lose any of our current employees, the reality of it is we may. And as we look to fill those positions, we would certainly hope that there are folks that live in this town that would show interest in wanting to work for our organization. And we would certainly entertain and value the opportunity to interview those folks and bring them aboard. Our jobs and the type of work that's actually being done in our facility is very much on the operations side. It is a pick-pack operation where we are actually building all of our fares in this facility and shipping those out via our trucks to the various schools. And this facility here handles all of Massachusetts, all of Rhode Island, and parts of New Hampshire, and parts of southern Vermont. So it is a very wide range in terms of what we do service. So along with the pick-pack folks, we do have drivers that we employ. They are our own employees. We do not do much of the outsourcing. We've gotten away from some of that. And then we also do have the need for quality assurance, and then also folks that are on lifts. And then there are also administrative positions as well as salary positions that will reside in that facility, me being one of those folks as well. In terms of our overall salary average, when you look at our organization, it's roughly about a $35,000 average. But again, that continues to go up as the cost of living increases every year. But on average, that's where we are today. We do provide our employees, as well as our part-time employees who work over 20 hours a week, a full benefit package that is very comparable and competitive with most large organizations today. And we feel very good about that. And our employees also value that very much. As well as coming to this community, one of the things that we hope that we're able to bring is a positive economic impact to Clinton. One of the things that I would suggest would be very powerful in terms of us coming here is the opportunity for us to be able to do business with many folks here that are running their own businesses in this community. I've got some points here on the slide for you that are just a few. They're certainly not all inclusive, but one of the biggest things is absolutely fuel stations. We will be running 7 of our trucks out of here on a daily basis. There will be a need for fuel. And we certainly want to be able to have someone that's very local to where we're situated, and I certainly would expect that to be here in Clinton. We do have a need for printers. auto repair, florists, certainly restaurants as well, because our folks are looking for the opportunity to have lunch and breakfast and dinner where it may suit them, because we do run a second shift in that facility. One of the other things too that I would like to bring to your attention is our community involvement as an organization. A couple of things that we are doing here that we also do across the country is we open our facility roughly 5 or 6 times a year to the entire school community. And during these events, which are called Customer Appreciation Warehouse Sales Events, otherwise known as the CAUSE event, we allow all of those folks associated with schools to be able to come into our building and be able to buy product anywhere from 30 to 80% off the regular retail price. We do that because we want to make sure that we're providing schools the opportunity to enhance their libraries, for new teachers to be able to enhance their classroom libraries, because statistically it shows that the better the classroom libraries are, the better the environment is for students to be able to excel at reading. Why is that important from an economic standpoint as well? We roughly have anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 people that will visit our warehouse in a week or a 10-day time frame. That is added folks that are coming to this town that will also be spending money when they come here. So it's not just Scholastic and its entity in terms of us being here, but it's also our customers that we're drawing to the community that are able to come here and hopefully spend money as well. One of the other things that we are planning is that we do want to ingratiate ourselves with the community. We want to be a good corporate citizen, and we have intentions today to be able to open our facility during a grand opening in August to the entire community here in Clinton. So even though they may not be associated with schools, we would actually send out flyers to every home in this town, and we are planning on opening our facility so folks can come down and actually see what we do, and we would also give them an opportunity to shop that facility as well, because it's the right thing to do. I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to take everybody through what our proposed government incentives are for you this evening. Thanks, Lynn. That's a good point. So why are we here in terms of looking for the incentives? As an organization, you have to remember that our customer are kids. And when you look at our organization's mission statement, we are trying to ignite the love of reading in children to make them lifelong learners. And I will tell you that that is a mission statement that is very much alive and breathing in our organization. And if you talk to any of our employees, they will tell you that that is a strong motivator as to why they work for our company. So from a standpoint of looking for the benefit of getting the incentives, the most important thing that we can do is provide affordable books for kids. And anything that we can get from a standpoint of controlling our costs allows us to be able to keep the prices of books at a very reasonable cost. And so you know we provide many books at $1, $2, and $5. And our average price of our books is anywhere between $5 and $6.50. That is unheard of in today's day and age. But we are passionate about making sure that every kid has an opportunity of getting a book in their hands. So anything that you can provide us to be able to help us keep those costs in control and benefit the children, I would be very appreciative of that.
Okay, and just to follow up with that, so you've heard the background and history of Scholastic Book Fairs, their proposed expansion plans, their intent to apply for incentives, and yes, and I really wanted to thank again Don Lowe. He was extremely pro-business and really rolled up the red carpet, and Michael Ward has been, I've known Michael for many years, and Michael is certainly demonstrates a very business-friendly environment, and we like to reach out to the board to thank us for inviting us here tonight as well. We also, who was supposed to be here tonight is Claire O'Neill, because she's actually...
Oh, sure.
Well, she was supposed to, but she's, out of state right now. But she's very supportive of the company applying for the incentives. And we also have here with us Megan McCaffrey, who's the executive director of the Wachusett Chamber, and who will most likely say a few words a little later on. But Scholastic Book Fairs, as you heard, it's all about the cost of doing business and keeping the cost of those books low for the children. And so the company has submitted an incentives intent letter, and is in the process, plans to apply for the Economic Development Center program. They'd be eligible, as you know, because we've gone through this process many
Right.
times, for the state 5% investment tax credit, as well as tax increment financing. So this project, I guess you could say, is a little bit on the fast track. And we're hoping, this is strictly an informational meeting, really wanted a meet and greet with Scholastic Book Fairs and the Board of Selectmen. And then we're hoping that by early next week, the company does plan on submitting a TIF proposal to you. And I know we'll be working with Don, and he's already indicated to us, Don and his team and Michael, that they would be most likely trying to expedite that process, because we're hoping to negotiate in April and then meet with, come to some type of agreement by the end of April, bring it back to the board for your recommendation of the TIF to town meeting in June. So, and that's really the plan, and hoping to then, of course, bring it to the state that has the final approval the end of June. So that's really, the overview, and just basically also on the incentives. Yes, the total building is approximately, at 100 Adams Street, approximately 344,000 square feet. That's the total building. So for the company to consider taking approximately 60,000 square feet to fill up some of this, empty space, I think that's really great, and hopefully future investments in Clinton. And so that's really the presentation, and we hope that you look favorably upon attracting the company to town.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Don, anything else you want to add?
Yes, I would just like to, again, thank the Scholastic Book Fairs for their interest and for coming this evening, and Lynn as well. You have my memo that I sent you in your packet, and I would strongly request the board to assign the same negotiating team that has already been created for a previous request, and authorize us to commence negotiations with Scholastic Book Fair to see if we can't work out a TIF agreement that would be acceptable to all parties.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Any questions from the board? Tony?
Just a comment, not really any questions. It looks like you guys bring a lot to the community, and it looks like a good match as far as what your needs are for, like printers and florists, and, Clinton has abundant supplies of that, so that looks really like a good match. And I like what I'm hearing about how you're going to help, the kids to get books at a good cost and good value. So, I mean, that's really just a comment I have, and it looks like a good fit for Clinton.
I don't have very many questions. I have a couple of comments. Thank you very much for coming in with such a concise plan and a very detailed presentation. That makes it very helpful for us. I really like what you have to say. Scholastic, of course, I mean, my kids have got tons of your books, right? And I understand what you say about the price. Your prices have always been reasonable, and it's a great way for kids to be able to afford to read. And I'm all for job creation, so I really like your presentation.
Great. Bob?
No, I just want to thank them for their time. It's 6 years spent on the school committee. I'm very familiar with Scholastic Book Fairs. Now just move forward with Mr. Lowe's request.
Yeah. Before we get to that, I have a couple of questions, actually. But I'm also very well pleased with the presentation, all that, those details to the point. On the pick and pack, I know you mentioned the average salary was $35,000 per, that's the average salary from here to here. For those, I'm assuming the pick and pack is a lower, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm assuming those positions get higher, and the lower driver pays more, quality assurance pays more, and administrative officer would pay more. So, how many of those pick and pack, are those the 10 people you're talking about, or?
No, our pick pack is 8 or 9
Okay.
of those folks, and then there's other functions there. There's folks that are doing recycle, building
Okay.
table product,
Okay.
doing setup boxes. So there's a lot of other type of positions that are in there as warehouse jobs as well.
Okay.
But pick pack is our major operation.
But the 10 new positions, 35 are coming with you supposedly.
Yeah.
There's 10 that are coming to town. where do they fall in this range? That's what-
Of the 10, we're looking to add 2 additional drivers this year.
Okay,
We currently had 5, we are looking to expand that to 7, so we know that there's 2. And then the other 8 folks are actually all additional warehouse people. And it's tough for me to give you exactly because
Right, this is
our
involved.
operation's going more high-tech, if you will, so we're leaving behind some of our old bad practices
Right.
and moving to a little bit more of a sophisticated warehouse where we will be doing things differently, so it's not to avoid it, I can't even give my employees
Right.
an answer right now.
and that leads me to my next question, which is when you're talking about you're investing $950,000 in equipment, and you mentioned that usually when you invest that much money in equipment, usually the human resource element tends to drop. I'm going to assume that with that equipment increase, you're also going to maintain a level of employment.
Yeah, there's absolutely no automation.
Oh, plus no automation at
There's
all.
0 automation.
Oh,
This
okay.
is all conveyor racks, all
Okay.
racking, different type of equipment for us to be able to pull and down stock product and pack our shelves.
Okay,
So it's all the configuration and the type of equipment in terms of racking and conveyors that actually
Gotcha.
make us more efficient. There's absolutely no automation in the building from that standpoint where there's job elimination.
okay, great. Thank you. Joe, you had a question?
Yeah, my other question was, of those 10 jobs, are any of those temp jobs at all, or are they all permanent?
Those are mostly permanent jobs. Beyond that, we always continue to have temporary positions because our season, our business is very seasonal.
Yeah,
We're not straight line, you know, as you can imagine, when schools are out, we're not doing too much.
right.
But there are very high peaks in our business, and during those peaks, we do bring in part-time employees as well.
Right, but the 10 you were talking about were,
Those are permanent
Those
full-time
are
jobs.
permanent
okay,
jobs, that's correct.
very good.
I will also tell you guys that was not in here is that in terms of corporate brain cramp, in terms of working with the community, there's actually an organization today that we're actually helping out. If you're familiar with the 7 Hills, and I believe they're
Yeah, sure.
we're actually providing employment for many of those folks.
That's wonderful.
We have very basic skills in terms of putting price stickers on books.
Marvelous.
And we've been doing that currently down in Marlboro, and our plans actually going forward is actually using those people on a very much more regular basis to actually provide that stickering for our entire region, which is all of it. So we feel a great benefit, and if you ever came to our building and saw the excitement of those folks coming
Oh,
in
yeah.
every day, and they get pretty charged over it.
Yep.
That's good.
And that's just another way that we're trying to give back and providing some work to people who otherwise might not have that opportunity.
There's a similar organization in town that runs out of town down at Woodruff Plaza called HEMA.
Okay.
Pretty similar to Seven Hills Project.
Then I'd love to be able to get that information, because there's work there that fits what.
They were always looking to place clients.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's good.
That's excellent.
And the last question I had was, are those 7 trucks that are going to be in the area? Is there any way those could be registered in town?
Love to answer that question, but I would have to defer that to our gentleman down in Lake Mary who oversees that for the company.
It's something you could look at that. That'd
We
be
can
great.
find that out.
It'd be a nice thing to have, or it helps to get the excise tax, you know? Yes, Don?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just make 2 final comments. One, as far as job creation goes, which I know is very important to the board, any company who's approved for a TIF on an annual basis has to report to the town and to the state their performance against their commitments, and part of that is reporting how they're progressing with their job creation. So that's monitored by my office and also at the state level. And any company that has a TIF knows that if they don't perform at those levels, the TIF can be revoked. So the companies that do get TIFs do take it very seriously, and it can be monitored. And before we wrap up, I know that Megan McCaffrey from the Chamber would also like to say a couple of words.
Okay. Megan, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Representing the Wachusett Chamber of Commerce, obviously on behalf of the business community, I just want to briefly echo a lot of the sentiments that were made here. Of course, we're very much in favor of job creation. Also, filling a building that's currently sitting empty, obviously, is something that's very, very positive for the town. As we know, new business creates a ripple effect. What they pointed out about using other businesses in town, dining at their restaurants, using different services and organizations in town, I see nothing but an absolute benefit to supporting Scholastic. So I just wanted to on behalf of the business community, echo some of the sentiments we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. Point well taken. Any other comments on the board?
Just thanks to Don and Megan for...
Well, I want to thank you both for taking time for your busy schedule also, because I know you guys are supposed to finish at 5, so you guys are here on your own time, and I really appreciate that. Bobby, you want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with Mr. Lowe's request to move into negotiations with Scholastic Books.
Is there a second to that motion?
Sure, I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Being none. All in favor?
Aye.
So, the motion is passed. Thank you very much for the opportunity that you have given us, and hopefully we'll look forward to a good and positive future relationship for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you
very
for your
much.
support.
Hey,
Thank you.
I make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we take a 5-minute recess while they break down the equipment.
Is there a second to that?
second.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Megan McCaffrey and Donnie Lowe for the hard work they put into this, getting new business into town. So I want to thank you both for the effort you provide every single day. So
Thank you,
I
Mr.
think
Chairman.
sometimes we forget to say thank you sometime in the course of the day. So thank you. Next order of business would be, we have to do a quick executive session under Article 3 to get an update on the Clinton Savings Bank TIF that Donnie Lowe is going to present to us. So that requires a roll call vote. Is there a motion to go into executive session under Article 3?
So moved.
Is there a, okay.
Second.
Says second, okay. As we call it, Bobby?
Aye.
Okay. Tony?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We're now in executive on the Article 3. We'll come back out to do look at a couple budgets. Okay. So we need just a couple people to stay here. Hopefully it'd be like, Donnie, how long?
The 07 budget, the building department was 84,737. I'm looking to, that's going to be increased because of the payroll to 102,052. The breakdown for the miscellaneous expense, there's a few increases on that. It's gone up, I have that, it's gone up $1,500 on the miscellaneous, from 5,000 to 6,500. This represents an increase in postage, phone bills, the need for more seminars and conferences, and an increase in the fuel mileage. Because right now we're at 32 cents per mile for using our vehicle, and IRS guidelines are at 48.5.
Right.
So I was looking to increase that in the budget as
Right,
well.
but if we look to do that, just so you know, that we have to do across the board, so that's something we have to vote, correct, Mike?
Yeah,
Right now, the
generally,
pound is
the
32.
town rate is set by the selectmen, right?
We get quite a bit started for this year. Do you want a quick breakdown or anything?
Sure.
Sure. Going on?
I'd like to hear it, yeah.
Okay, Lydia, which is off Woolgate, is a new road. Well, Lydia is a new road off of Woolgate. They have 12 lots proposed, and they're working on that right now. Ledgewood, which is off Berlin, they have 2 homes started with a total of 23 in there at that project. Brendan Road has approximately 8 homes left in their development. Off of Chase I'm sorry. Yes, Ledgewood is 21 homes, 2-started. Off of Chase Street, there's a new road going in at Fufton Farms property with 34 homes going in. Those are all single family. There's condo projects that are ongoing throughout the town. 540 Main Street's underway with, some of the units occupied and some are they're still working on. We have a Walgreens that's going to be coming in shortly. They're seeking approval tonight as we speak from the planning board. Clinton Savings Bank has their new building on Brook Street that's being built. Nitro was in today to talk about some remodel work on one of their wing buildings. And I guess now, as of tonight, Scholastic Book is going to be coming in again. And the Woodlands, I'm not sure what's going on with them. They've been just going steady, but I don't know what their future is at this point. Last year, the building department took in fiscal year 06, the building department took in $172,159, and the budget for that year was $84,737.
What was
When you say last year, you mean fiscal year 06?
For what we took in?
Yeah.
We took in $172,159 through permit fees, inspections.
Any
projections
that was
for the
06?
FY08?
That's what I was...
Not that I like to forecast our numbers on what ifs.
So
Like
is
I was
that
saying,
this year or?
all these new homes that are coming in, the one project has 21 homes coming in, which we started. There's 12 going in on Lydia, 34 homes off Chase Street, and 8 more going down in Brendan. So that's what's,
Where's Brendan off of? Is that up by Woodruff Road?
it's off the river.
Okay. How many homes going in on Brendan?
There's 8 left.
Isn't he getting to his cap number now, though, up there with that project, or how many more homes has he
There's
got?
8 left.
8 left to build, and then that's it?
Yes,
Okay.
that will be completed,
Complete project up there.
yeah. But then they're gonna move over to Buffton Farms property, same
Right.
developer. And they have 34 proposed for that project.
You know, though, this probably isn't the time to talk about it, so I won't. I'll wait.
All this won't happen in 1 year. This,
Right, over time.
on the economy, this could take a couple of years, but
Sure.
there's a lot of projects started. 540 Main Street has quite a bit going on and continuing to go on.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt again.
Sure.
So that number, the numbers you gave us, the 84,737 and the 172,159, that's for fiscal year
06.
06, okay.
Okay. Any other questions from Mr. Hewitt? I have one more. When you say seminars and conferences that are essential, are those the things that are mandatory?
Yes, they're required that to keep my certification current, I have to go to ongoing classes and seminars to keep enough credits per year to maintain my certification as a building commissioner. And there wasn't enough money in that budget because some of the classes I go to can be $150 for a 2-day class.
Okay.
One I just went to was that much. And the budget was really, I don't have it, whatever it was.
Okay.
So, you-
It was $500 last year for conferences, seminars, so I was bringing that up 500 to 1,000. That's why the increase, well, between that and a couple other areas, is it increased to 65 to 5,000.
Is there anything in that budget in case you have to send like Denora or something?
She could come out of the same area,
Okay.
but she has gone to ongoing education classes as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
so do you use any of the planning board's budget at all? Do you have to use their budget for anything?
No,
They're-
they're
Okay.
totally separate from myself.
Okay.
They may buy stuff, well, they do provide stuff to Denora to work with, some equipment and materials, but it's nothing to do with my budget.
Okay. Now, I know Just if I may ask, yeah. You had bought a computer and a camera, and has that been adequate for what, you need to run the department?
Yes, it's worked out very well.
Okay.
And you print some of your own stuff up, don't you now, on,
Yes,
you got a computer printer and all that stuff, right?
The permit cards used to be purchased
Yeah.
as a multi-carbon form.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've eliminated those, and we've gone to a computerized, so when Denora enters it in the computer, it stores the information and prints the actual permit card,
Mhm.
which is a bright yellow if you see them around town.
Yeah.
That way it's easier for me to see if there's a permit when I drive by a site.
Sure.
That was the whole idea of going with the bright yellow, so I could see them easier, I wouldn't have to stop and knock on the door.
And that saves us money, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
it was much cheaper to print our own,
Okay.
because we have a computer and a printer anyways.
right, okay.
Good.
'Cause I know sometimes you get the toners and stuff like that, it can be more costly sometimes. In this case, it's more inexpensive, plus it's easier.
And you don't have to pay a printer.
Exactly, it's quicker, because you have them.
Yes,
Okay.
it's instant, don't have to order them.
Exactly, okay. Any other questions? I mean, it's pretty cut and dry budget.
Yeah, just want to ask his opinion on something. Do you see like in your own website or department's website to be able to help you in any way in your department as far as citizens to be able to get anything that they need, or do you think it would add any value?
To have a website?
Yeah.
We don't at this time. Many towns do have a website, they can actually download building permit applications. And different forms, if they need them, they can download them. We don't have that capability right now, but I'm hoping that they're working on the computers even today. They're working on some of the computer equipment. So maybe at some point we will be able to have that online.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I believe once we have our website online, that's so much easier for, especially someone that, say, wants a pool permit, right? You don't want to have to take time off of work to come down, hey, can I get an application, It's much easier to just download it, so. That's a good point.
Any other questions or comments? Bobby, you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay, all set?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Bentley, unless you have something else to add. Okay, well, thank you so much for taking time to come in to do this. All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's what we have for budgets tonight. Now we have an administrative business. The police chief is here. We asked him to come in to discuss the transfer, chief. I know you need some monies.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, how you doing, chief?
I'm well, thank you.
Outstanding. Okay. I know some of the members had some questions on, on things. You want to just give us anything particular you want to add to this, or?
No, they're pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
If you have questions, I'd be happy to.
Okay. I know some people had some questions on that.
Yeah, so I think they were addressed, the last questions I had. My understanding is we had approved a transfer of $40,000 for the overtime.
That's correct. You approved a transfer of $40,000 to the overtime account, and the finance committee only approved $20 of it. At the time that I made that request, I thought that $40,000 would get us through the fiscal year, but things have been busy, and I think my request is $30,000. I don't have a copy of the transfer here. But,
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I believe 30,000 is going to be more like the figure. If you go back and you look at your monthly reports back in November, I think I let you know at that time that I estimated it to be $50,000 that we would be to get through the fiscal year. When we started the fiscal year, I think everyone knew that the $65,000 wasn't going to cut, and the finance committee was, with the two new hires, were thinking that they weren't going to start the academy to January, and there would be money to transfer from the salaries accounts over to the overtime accounts. But they started the academy, unusual to get them in that quickly. Then they get into an August academy, and there's not that money available that they thought was going to be available. So we're faced with, I don't know how much money they have left in their account to transfer over, but $30,000 is what's going to be needed.
Bob, you have any questions?
No.
Joe?
No, that's pretty self-explanatory.
So, in the matter of the course of events, if the whole 40,000 had been transferred, then you would have come back for 10 anyways.
I'd probably be back for 10, probably around the beginning of June sometime.
Okay.
Around June, the vacation starts. June is usually a pretty heavy month.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that explains it, so.
Is it because people on vacation, or why was the increase in overtime? What was the purpose for the increase in overtime? People sick, or people on vacation?
Why are we using the overtime?
Yeah,
This is both overtime and court time.
Okay,
Okay, we've,
so court time,
like I
okay.
said, we've been busier, we're supposed to do more hours in court. We don't seem to be scheduling it as well as they have in the past. We've got some cases going up to Fitchburg, 3 officers going up, and there's been 3 continuances. The lawyers play judicial checkers. They look for the they keep continuing until one of the witnesses isn't there, and the day that the witness isn't there, that's the day they want to go. But as long as everybody's there, they keep asking for the continuances. And district attorney objects to it, but the judges, they got a fairly good reason. They grant the continuances, and each time they continue it, it's 15 hours of court time that costs them.
And you usually send the officer that was involved with the case, correct? Is that how it's done?
The officers that are involved in the case when it's Fitchburg, they usually summon stuff by the district attorney's office.
And I think that's an important thing to note, because what happens is, people say, well, why can't we watch over? The problem is, if you don't have the officer there to present his case, to give his actual testimony, sometimes they'll throw it up, and then we don't get the convictions that you're looking for.
So far this fiscal year, we've spent about 850 hours in court. We've got 525 in the Clinton court. Up in Fitchburg, we've got 175, and then in Worcester Juvenile, Worcester Superior, about another 150 there. So that's the fiscal period.
You also incur the travel cost, right?
Well, the officers get paid for a minimum amount of time for going to court. In Clinton, it's a 3-hour minimum, and out of town, it's a 5-hour minimum. It's 4 hours plus the travel, it's a half hour to the court.
Well, mileage is what I meant, mileage.
No, we don't, we just pay the property.
Okay.
And they're always there for, you don't get out of there for 3 hours. You're more than 3 hours there. The time you get there, the time you even give you Worcester, forget it.
And we have one on the, any more questions on the overtime?
No, I'm gonna know what
That's running a minimum of 3 people. So when the overtime comes up, we don't run with less than 3 people. So if we have somebody in training and someone calls in sick, it sometimes results in an overtime shift.
Right.
At this time of the year, there's not a lot of people on vacation, and in-service training, it's not a week there's in-service training, there may be 4 or 5 people working. But generally, when we're busy, at our busiest, there's only 3 people working in the summertime due to vacations and weekends. The officers, like everyone else, they have weddings and things to go to in the summertime on weekends. So when we're the busiest, that's when we're running with the least. And if someone calls in sick, it usually results in an overtime shift during those periods.
And that court time is basically for trials and stuff like that, or to file paperwork also?
No, that's not to file paperwork.
Okay.
It's generally trial. They go there for a trial,
Right.
and then the lawyer sees them there. Then it's usually a plea agreement.
Right.
I'm going to say that 80% of them are plea agreements.
Okay.
But if someone doesn't show up, then they want the trial.
Mm-hmm.
And up in Fitchburg, that six-man jury, those are people that are going the whole route. Generally, a lot of the OUIs, people contest them because of the penalties now. They really contest them, so it's generally a couple of appearances of them, and you got to bring everybody out, and they're a tough case to win. Very difficult.
Do we have a full-time court officer anymore? No?
No, we don't have a full-time court officer, but there is an officer that I will send up to handle the hearings, motor vehicle hearings for people, get speeding tickets. One officer will go up and he'll handle, 15, 20 hearings, and they're generally, Clinton's assigned them 2 days out of the month. And if there's a serious motor vehicle violation, then the officer himself will have to go there if there's an accident. Somebody's hurt.
I mean, you could send another officer, right? But it's better to send the officer who's there, right?
For a hearing, it's acceptable
Right.
to send another officer can read in the report.
Right.
Read in another officer's report, because that's just a show cause hearing.
Right. Okay. I think it's important for people to understand, why people, officers have to go there. I think people don't understand,
Just
not
as
everybody knows.
expensive.
It is expensive, it is, unfortunately. Okay. Any other questions for the chief? Okay. No? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move that we grant the $30,000 request to the overtime budget.
Second?
To transfer, right?
Transfer, yes.
Okay, it's a second. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, chief. Thank you very much for coming in and
You have another transfer there.
I'm not done.
Make a motion that we move $24,750 into the expense account.
to a second.
Well, I'll second it.
Yeah, I'll second.
Under discussion?
Yeah, I think this covered, the chief had detailed us on, what the expenses were,
Yeah.
so.
On the expense, that covers a secretary that's been out with a serious illness. She's been out for about 2.5 months,
Right.
and she'll be out approximately another week, 2 weeks. We've had some, I looked back at the expenses of the cruisers, and it's very clear that the year that we get the one cruiser, we have a lot more expenses, repairs on the cruisers. There's a difference of about $5,000 on the year that we get the one from the year that we get the two. We generally on rotation 1, 2, 1. And I've been saying for years now that we should be getting at least 2 cruisers a year, if not 3. And then when you trade them in, you're going to get something for them when you trade them in. And we'd be riding around in reliable cruisers. Some of these things that we ride around, and they're in tough shape. There's a cruiser over at MHQ right now. They're putting a transmission and doing some front end work. And the guy called me up. He says, "You really want to fix this thing?" I says, "We need it. We got to fix it. It's going to be a $3,200 bill." And he's questioning why I'm fixing it. For a police guy, it's not something that really should be driving. It's just a lot of miles.
A lot of miles.
So, at some point, I know it's a tough fiscal year, but we should start considering a different plan. I know that other towns get rid of them a lot sooner. They're always under warranty because they've got 2 years, 75,000 miles on the cruisers, and they're getting rid of them in the 2 years, and they have less than 75, and they're getting $9,000, $10,000. We trade ours, and if we get $700, that's a pretty good price for them because they're spent when we get there.
Yeah.
How many do you have right now?
Cruisers. And then also with the expense, we had the recruits. We've huge amount of dough went into outfitting. Both you have to buy their uniforms and everything for the academy, and then when they come out, you got to get all their uniforms, and they're not cheap. And then there's a $2,500 tuitions for the academies, and that wasn't planned for in that expense account. So that's why we're running low. Plus, we got the problem with the fuel, and I'm gonna guess that we've had probably about $6,000 to $7,000 with the fuel injector work because of the fuel jamming them up.
But the positive thing is you have 2 police officers on the force that are to reinforce the force and get out there and
Yes,
provide community service to the community, so,
yeah, we're pretty well staffed right now.
okay, that's a good thing. But
Yes, we are.
we've had a tough year, guys, as you had
Yeah.
mentioned to us. Okay, thank you, Chief. Any other questions for the Chief? No?
Do we vote on
To
that?
finish that vote.
I was just curious, how many cruisers do you have in total right now?
We have 6 smart cruisers.
You have 6, okay.
So
What's your oldest one?
that one will be the flagship, the one with the flag on it that we got on, we took delivery on it on 9/13 or 9, I think 9/11, right around the time the towers went down. That's when they put the patriotic theme on that cruiser.
Almost 6 years old.
So you got 6 marked and 2 unmarked,
That
right?
car has probably about 135,000 miles on it.
Which one's that one?
The one with the
Oh,
flag.
the flag on the side?
Yeah.
Maybe we should start to look at leasing. Tony had mentioned it when he first came.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at,
Be an
look at something.
option.
Well, the chief had mentioned about a 2-year
Quotation.
trade-in thing,
Yeah.
and that might be more cost-effective than a lease.
Yeah.
I mean, used car market is pretty healthy, so,
Yeah.
you know.
We need to start looking at this, being more proactive.
Okay, there's a motion, there's a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks
Hey,
a lot,
Chief.
Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. All right. All right.
What are we under?
Looking good there, Bob, thank you.
We're under old and new business. Mike, you want to do the old and new business? Really, a couple things, really.
Actually, if I could bring something up on the old and new?
Yeah,
It's
why don't you
something
go
I-
ahead?
Yeah, it's for, the open space, not open space, the master plan committee. You know, we're
Oh.
looking at, one of the first things we're trying to tackle, and we're well on the way in doing that, is the open space plan. But as part of doing the open space plan, we have to get GIS maps done of all the open space. And we were looking to have it's the MRPC, help us. They'll actually do the work, but we need, it's kind of like a delegation, so that, we have to delegate an organization to do that, the selectmen. So I
Okay.
was going to ask selectmen to, approve a motion to have Mr. Ward send a letter to the MRPC, granting them authority to do the maps for us, and then it gets part of the state databases. So it just kind of offloads it. It's something Don Lowe's going to look into. He'll be the interface with the agency, and I think it...
We'll do it for us.
Yeah, they'll do it for us, and they have the expertise, and it just makes sense. So it's something I wanted to make a motion on.
Okay, see that motion?
Yes, so...
Second it.
Is there a second? Any other discussion or comments on that?
Yeah, I remember talking about that during the steering committee time, about actually bringing that capability in-house, but that's good that you can get it done through the state.
So they'll do all the maps and stuff, you said, right?
Yeah, the Mass GIS maps will include the open space metadata.
And the delegation is who again?
So, yeah, Donnie Lowe will work with the MRPC. The MRPC will actually do the maps, so.
Okay.
And Mike Ward will write the letter.
Okay. All right. Okay. So there's a motion, there's a second, and if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So, on the older bill, we have a letter from Mass Highway, and they're kind of requesting that we look at closing Nashua Street, so we're gonna further talk to our DPW, see what the impact of that is. There is a letter out there requesting, and the thing with that is the fact that this would expedite the process of fixing the bridge on Chestnut Street, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I have a
By a
comment.
year.
I have a comment on that if...
Okay, give me a second.
Oh, sorry.
So that's, something we gotta look at regarding closing of the Nashua Street. We're not closing it yet, but we need to look at the possibility of doing that. So to expedite the process of building that bridge. Okay, Tony?
Yeah, so my comment is, I know there's a bus route that goes through there. It's
Right.
about, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Yeah, the elementary school bus route comes right down Grove, takes a left onto Nashua, and then out onto, across to Green, that area. So, yeah, it's something we probably should have the school committee take a look. They should be considered in any decision.
I
that's
agree.
made, yeah.
I mean, I think school committee, DPW probably, and even the fire chief, the police, because what's the impact of it for public safety? And maybe we can just close it for a certain time, or, after 9 o'clock it's closed, after the route goes through, do you know what I'm saying? So there has to be some flexibility how we can do this.
Well, I think they were closing, it sounded like.
They want to close it completely.
Because they're gonna, yeah, they're gonna
They
build
put a
a,
sign up on, down at by our house on Grove Street,
Right.
that's still covered, that says,
No right
Nashua
turn.
Street closed, no right onto Nashua. And
Right.
there's a big orange sign that they put up by the water filtration pump.
But Mike, correct, this is just the request that we close it, correct?
Right.
Right, and if we close it, it would expedite the whole building of the bridge by a year.
By a year?
It's a big difference of a whole year. It would delay it.
well, they're gonna fabricate some kind of ramp, right, and
Yeah.
offload these huge
Exactly.
I-beams and,
Right.
So we do have to
And
look
they'd
at
have to
it,
build
you know.
some temporary decking in order to get over there to take that all down, and then so they have to build that, then do the work, then take it all down, and then move to the other side. So they did indicate that if they had that room to work, they wouldn't have to build all the temporary structures, and it would save about a year, or it would add a year if they weren't able to do it.
Right.
But that they would be able to expedite
The only
construction.
problem we need to be cognizant of is it's a neighborhood that's heavily congested with little kids. And if you close that street off and they're out there doing their work, summertime, you got the kids, you got the pond,
Yeah, you're gonna have them out there anyway.
Well,
I think
they need
that
to,
you and I would probably
they
do
just
that.
need to be a little more,
they'll probably have the best summer of their life.
yeah, true, but it's, you gotta be cognizant of the neighbors too down
I
there.
agree, that's why we,
The fact that it gets it done a year quicker though, and gets them out of their hair a year quicker.
That's the other side of it.
That might be a good thing.
Plus, to me.
then that's a big plus. But
I don't look down.
But to Tony's point though, we should ask how it affects the school,
Right.
how it affects our public safety.
Public safety, yep.
And,
And the residents.
and residents, so we have to look at the
First
whole
might have
picture.
to beef up all those heavy potholes down that way if there's gonna be extra traffic on the Grove Street venue.
Right.
Because people aren't gonna realize they're gonna go down to cut over, they're gonna turn around and peel back up. And we already have an issue with.
So we do have a letter, so if anybody from the public wants to have it, they're welcome to look at it.
I mean, yeah, and one thing with the bus, it could come down, turn into Nashua, and then just back up,
Back up.
and then back up Grove, yeah. So, that could be the bus stop temporarily, yeah.
Well, the
Just a
good-
thought, but.
The good thing too is that they don't want to do it during the winter,
Right.
winter time either, so.
Exactly.
Well, they've had a hard time this year down there.
Right. But it's like,
They're there every day working, but the phone company seems to be good now.
well, the sooner we get the bridge done, the sooner it's gonna be for the whole town, it's
Oh,
gonna be
sure.
better. So, I mean, I know when we were fixing Main Street, I mean, a lot of people had to do that whole process, the business and do it a lot faster, but it had to get done, and the DPW did a great job with it, and they did it.
Bridge is vital to all aspects of the town.
Exactly.
In and out, in and out.
Okay, exactly. Okay, and that's it for opening business. Any committee reports?
Nope.
Any public comment? So, okay, with that being said, motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night to everybody, thank you.
Transfer forms for the board to sign up.
I'm not signing.
Yeah, Mike,